She hadn't even finished the HR slideshow when she angled her phone toward the window and pouted at her reflection. Peace sign. Overhead light turned ring light. Sneakers on the edge of my old desk like a tourist dangling feet over a canyon. I stood just beyond the frosted glass, watching her hunt for the perfect filter in a chair I'd spent 2 decades keeping upright, while everything around it shook. My name is Claire Holt. I'm 45, or I was when this started. Until last week, I was Senior Operations Engineer at Meridian Freight Systems, the company you never hear about until your package doesn't arrive. I don't have a podcast. I don't walk and talk for the company Slack. I learned where the system creaks when the weather turns and which server needs a tap on the side like an old radiator. I saved us quietly, more times than anyone bothered to count. Do you mind taking a pic? The intern asked me, mistaking my silence for free time. The new hire, Zoe, 22, big eyes, bigger phone, posed with the caption already typed in her head. First day vibes, she said, grinning. Is there like a policy about working from home? I'm way more productive there. Today? I asked. Uh-huh. Not really, I said, but it might be soon. My nameplate was still on her desk. My meeting with Mark, the kind of VP who underlines sentences in airport books and calls it strategy, had been 2 days earlier. Subject line: future fit discussion. His office smelled like orange peels and confidence. He smiled like he just remembered I had a birthday coming up. Claire, he said, voice smooth, practiced. Thanks for making time. I always do. He glanced at his screen like he needed the prompt. We're modernizing our stack, he began, folding his hands. We need to reposition, bring in fresh energy. People who reflect where we're going, not just where we've been. There it was, the choreography. We're incredibly grateful, he continued, but you've been deep in legacy for a long time. It's not realistic to expect full fluency in the new platforms. For the business, it's better to transition to someone younger, I said. He blinked. More agile. I rewrote our failover protocol during the winter storms, I reminded him. From my car in a parking lot when the office lost heat. Yes, he said gently, like he was consoling a child. But culture is changing. He slid the envelope. 3 months. Healthcare through quarter end. A letter of appreciation if I wanted one. I don't, I said. He waited for a reaction. Anger, tears, a bargain. I buttoned my blazer, thanked him for the opportunity, and wished him luck with the new systems. He looked almost disappointed that I didn't make it easy to call me emotional on the way out. On Zoe's first day, I handed her the access badge still clipped to my belt. I left a list of passwords with IT, not on a sticky note. Despite the myths, I'm not reckless. I rubbed the dent in the armrest I'd carved with late nights and clenched hands. No one looked up. No one followed me to the elevator. The doors took their time, like the building was deciding whether to keep me. At home, the quiet felt unnatural, like a fridge that stopped humming. I brewed coffee the slow way and let the steam dress the kitchen. No pings, no red banners, no escalating threads with my name in them. On the counter, the framed photo of my daughter at 9 stared back. Missing tooth grin, glitter shoes. She's 16 now. I've missed more school plays than I'll admit. Just one crisis, I used to tell her. I'll make the next one. By mid-morning, the first text came. Wait, what happened? Then another. Zoe asked where the shared drive lives. An hour later, Mark told the team it was mutual. Said you didn't want to evolve. I let the screen go dark. Curiosity won once. I checked the internal directory. My name was already gone, like a patch rolled back overnight. I took a notebook and drew a line down the center. On the left, names of people pushed out in the last 18 months. Quiet exits, no memos. reorgs that never touched the executives who approved the downtime. On the right, what those people had built, billing rules no vendor could replicate without a year of false starts. The nighttime batch script only 3 of us knew to bless in a particular order. The vendor relationships that weren't in any CRM. The right column filled faster than the left. I didn't plan revenge. I planned coffee with people who remembered what worked. Paula from compliance, now consulting part-time while caring for her dad. Amir from QA, rotated out after refusing to bless a half-tested deployment. Jenny from network, who kept the place stitched together with 6 screens and a messy bun. They were all doing fine. They were also all watching Meridian like you watch an ex trying to date their mirror. By afternoon, 2 vendors reached out. Friendly, cautious, the way you ask a neighbor what that smell is without accusing anyone. Hey Claire, heard there's a new contact for ops approvals? We'll pause the rollout until things settle. I didn't ask for that. I didn't hint. People who build bridges also know when to take their weight off. Zoe posted a story that night. Someone forwarded it. A boomerang of her laptop with a caption about dinosaur code and a crying laughing emoji. For half a second, the camera caught a sliver of an internal dashboard. I didn't like her comment. I just felt something shift, like a shelf someone swore was level finally admitting it wasn't. The next day, 3 DMs from inside. Do you remember the order for the month-end reconciliation? Zoe says the new tool has it, but we can't find the staging logs. Then, Mark says we're skipping the dry run because agile. Then, are you around just to sanity check? I stared at the kettle warming again. My ex used to say I only felt alive when something was on fire. Maybe he was right. Or maybe I just spent 20 years keeping sparks from finding kindling while other people practiced speeches. That evening, Paula added me to a quiet group chat. 29 names I hadn't seen together in one place since the last holiday party that actually had food. No rants, no insults. Just timestamps, thread links, a shared memory of where the bones were buried and which ones still mattered. Someone uploaded a checklist I'd written the year the flood took out our second floor. It still held. I slept deeply for the first time in months. On the 3rd morning, I woke to a message from an unknown number. Call me. Then a second. Urgent. Please. I made coffee first. The kettle clicked off. The phone buzzed again. I finally swiped to open, ready to listen or not, I hadn't decided. The number flashing on my phone had no name, just digits I hadn't seen in years. I let it buzz until it nearly stopped, then thumbed it open. Claire, a voice said. Careful. Polished. Mark. I didn't answer right away. He filled the pause like he was trained to. I hope this isn't a bad time. It's fine, I said, though my second cup of coffee was already cooling in my hand. He exhaled, as if relieved I hadn't hung up. We're in the middle of some temporary challenges. Nothing major, but, well, the transition isn't as smooth as we'd like. Zoe's brilliant, of course, but she's still acclimating. That word, acclimating, did a lot of heavy lifting. What do you need, Mark? I asked. He softened his tone, the way people do when they're pretending hierarchy doesn't exist. We were wondering if you'd consider consulting. Just short term. Help us stabilize a few workflows. Obviously, we'd compensate you generously. I sipped the coffee, let the silence draw. He tried again. This isn't about age, Claire. It never was. You're invaluable. You're saying I'm invaluable 3 days after you told me I wasn't worth the investment. His pause stretched. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. Claire, listen. No, I cut in. Calm, steady. You'll figure it out. Good luck, I ended the call before he could play the sympathy card. My hand didn't shake. The texts kept coming, though. Not from Mark. He was too proud to beg twice, but from inside. Month end failed. Reconciliation incomplete. Then, Zoe tried to rerun it, broke half the batch. Then, Please don't post about this. We'll fix it. I hadn't planned to post. Revenge by Facebook never appealed to me. But word travels in quieter ways. That afternoon, Paula from compliance called. "You've seen it, right?" she asked. "Seen what?" She went live. On TikTok, my stomach dipped. Doing what? Complaining. Something about ancient code and how you left her with a mess. She showed her screen. Claire, it wasn't blurred. I pulled up the video. There she was. Ring light haloing her face. Background a blur of dashboards I knew like muscle memory. Caption: Day 3 and I already want to quit LOL. 100 laughing emojis from strangers who didn't realize the data behind her wasn't just numbers. It was client contracts, routing matrices, financial pipelines. I didn't laugh. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. By midnight, the clip had 30,000 views. By morning, 60. Someone in the comments recognized the interface. Wait, is that Meridian's ops panel? Another chimed in. She just leaked internal systems. This isn't funny, it's negligent. The algorithm did the rest. At lunch, I met Amir at a diner off the highway. He looked the same. Tired eyes, sharp mind, but lighter somehow, like leaving had given him back oxygen. He didn't even say hello before sliding his phone across the table. "You need to see this," he said. It was a screenshot from Meridian's internal Slack, a message from Mark. "Team, we're addressing a brief infrastructure hiccup. Appreciate your patience during this transition." Hiccup. That was the word he chose. "You know what a hiccup looks like?" Amir asked. "This isn't it." Half their month end is corrupted. The vendor we used for freight audits? They pulled out this morning, said they'll wait until systems stabilize. I stirred my coffee, though I wasn't thirsty. "They're panicking," he went on. "And they're blaming you." "Of course they are." He leaned forward. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing," I said. "Not yet." But my mind was already building columns again. Left side, names. Right side, what they held together. We'd carried Meridian like scaffolding no one bothered to maintain. Remove the scaffolding, the building doesn't fall immediately. It sways, creaks, then tilts in ways no one can ignore. That night, Paula added another link in the group chat. A PDF leaked from an internal strategy deck. Header: Future Forward Culture 2025. Bullet points beneath: reduce legacy friction by transitioning senior staff. Prioritize fresh perspectives over institutional stagnation. Streamline by flattening outdated hierarchies. Zoe had posted the link without realizing it was visible in her story. Someone screenshotted. I read the lines twice, then a third time. Legacy friction. Institutional stagnation. Pretty phrases for people like me. People like Amir. People like Paula and Jenny and the 30 others in the chat. We weren't friction. We were the gears. Before bed, I forwarded the deck to an old acquaintance, a journalist I hadn't spoken to in years. Subject line: Might want to ask why a modernization plan reads like a purge manual. No name attached. No need. I slept well. The next morning, the news broke on a niche industry blog. Headline: Meridian Freight Faces. Questions over workforce strategy after TikTok leak. The article didn't name me. It didn't need to. Vendors whispered. Clients asked quiet questions. The blog headline made the rounds faster than I expected. Vendors sent it to each other with careful subject lines. FYI, seen this? Any impact on us? Like they were passing a hot pan with oven mitts. Inside the group chat, Paula posted a screenshot from HR. Social media incident under review. Employee access suspended pending investigation. No name in the memo, but we didn't need one. Zoe's profile went dark. The video disappeared. The comments didn't. By mid-morning, a message from a Meridian address I didn't recognize landed in my inbox. Friendly reminder that all former employees remain bound by confidentiality provisions. No greeting, no signature. Just the implication that this was my fault. I read it twice, then archived it. I hadn't shared anything they hadn't leaked themselves. Silence is a kind of armor when people expect you to yell. Mark called again. I let it go to voicemail. He tried text. Consulting, half-day blocks, your rate. The period after rate did a lot of begging. I put the phone face down and rinsed my coffee mug. At lunch, I met Jenny at a strip mall cafe where the tables wobble unless you slide a sugar packet under one leg. She still wore her ID lanyard out of habit, even though it didn't open any doors now. We ate in the kind of quiet that belongs to people who've shared too many midnight shifts. They're saying the outage last night was contained, she said, pushing a napkin toward the offending table leg. Was it? I asked. She smirked. Define contained. I didn't need the details. I could hear them anyway. Retrees spooling until the queue choked, a reconciliation job starting without the dependency it needed, an engineer overriding a warning because a VP stood behind him saying, just push it. You don't have to be in the building to smell smoke. What do you want to do? Jenny asked. I don't want to fight, I said. I want a life. It came out before I could sand it down. She didn't laugh. She just nodded, like that answer had been waiting inside me for a while. On the drive home, my daughter called from a friend's house. Can you pick me up in an hour? She asked. Her voice bounced with the kind of easy happiness I missed when I answered alerts at the dinner table. Sure, I said. Text me when you're ready. At home, I found a message request on LinkedIn from a name I hadn't seen since a port backlog winter years ago. Elena Cho, now COO at Harborline Logistics. Saw the article. We met during the Oakland Jam. You got our invoices out when everyone else was stuck. Are you open to a conversation about modernization that doesn't break what works? We spoke that afternoon. No buzzwords, no pitch deck. She remembered details I'd forgotten. How I'd mapped the old billing rules to a new parser without touching the fragile parts. How we staged rollouts quietly on Sundays because drivers checked their pay on Mondays and panic spreads faster than truth. She didn't dangle a title. She offered scope. Part-time at first, she said. Flexible hours. We need someone who respects boring stability. Bring 2 or 3 people you trust. I didn't say yes immediately. I asked for a day. She agreed without a sigh. That night, Zoe messaged me from a throwaway account. The note was short. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. They told me to make it fun. I thought joking about the old code would help me fit in. I messed up. I know you hate me. I read it twice, then a third time, because something in the last line sounded like she was 22 and alone in a place that eats people at any age. I don't hate you, I wrote back. Ask for training. Shadow someone who knows the flows end to end. Say no when you don't understand. It's not weakness. It's safety. I hovered, then added, you didn't break it alone. Don't let them say you did. She didn't reply. Maybe she wouldn't. Maybe that wasn't the point. Paula pinged the chat. HR interviews tomorrow. Legal wants statements. 2 folks filed age bias complaints. Amir answered with a shrug emoji and a link to an article about rotational exits. Jenny posted a checklist for month end that included a step I'd forgotten I invented. Bless the jobs in this order or they'll fight each other. We tagged it for later, not because we owed Meridian anything, but because forgetting the past is how you break the future. I picked up my daughter as the sky went lavender. She slid into the passenger seat, hair smelling like drugstore shampoo and sleepovers. You seem different, she said, studying my face the way kids do when they're trying to read weather. Less notifications, I said. She smiled. I like this you. At home, we ate pasta that wasn't rushed, watched half a movie, and I didn't check my phone. It still buzzed on the counter, vibrating against the mail like a fly stuck in a lampshade. When I finally flipped it over, Elena's message waited. Take your time. If you're in, we start small. Your conditions, not ours. Conditions. The word felt like oxygen. I typed, I'll come if I can bring 3. Compliance. QA. Network. We do this slow. No performative launches, no cameras, just work. I stared at the cursor, then hit send. Her reply came back almost immediately. Deal. In the morning, the industry blog posted an update. Vendors pausing, clients asking for assurances, Meridian promising a new era of transparency, without saying what went wrong. Mark's public post used the word resilience 3 times and legacy twice. None of it the way those words mean anything. I brewed coffee and opened a new notebook. Not columns this time. A list. What a stable system actually needs and what it doesn't. I added names at the top. Paula, Amir, Jenny. Then underlined them once like a promise. Before I could close the cover, my phone lit up with a new unknown number. I let it ring. It almost stopped before I answered. Claire, Mark said, breath already thin. We're escalating. We need you in the building today. I looked at the list, at the 3 names, at the life I'd started to sketch in the margins. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. No, I said. I'm not coming back. He started to talk about offers and rates and urgency, words stacking like boxes in a hallway that never gets cleared. I set the phone on the counter and let him finish his speech to the air. By the time I picked it up again, it had gone quiet. A new text blinked from Elena. Conference room reserved for Monday. No speeches. Whiteboard only. I wrote one more line under the list. Build what lasts. Then I closed the notebook, turned off notifications, and let the house be quiet. Monday morning, I didn't drive to Meridian. I drove across town to a co-working space Elena had rented. Neutral walls, clean Wi-Fi, no mission statements taped to the glass. The kind of place where silence has weight, not absence. Paula was already there, laptop open, glasses perched low like she was reading fine print no one else could see. Amir showed up next, muttering about traffic and caffeine. Jenny arrived last, balancing a tray of coffees because she still thought about people before code. We didn't hug. We didn't make speeches. We just sat down and opened our laptops. That was enough. Elena joined us with her project lead, a younger guy named Marco who looked like he lived in spreadsheets. They gave us the outline. Harborline was expanding routes, systems were straining, and the last contractor had left things brittle. We don't need flash, Elena said. We need foundation. Quiet strength, she looked at me when she said it. I nodded once. We carved the work into pieces, nothing dramatic. Compliance flows for Paula, reconciliation scripts for Amir, routing backbones for Jenny. I took integration, the glue no one notices until it fails. By noon, we'd already drafted a skeleton plan. No Slack announcements, no glossy decks, just work that made sense. Meanwhile, the group chat kept pinging. Paula scrolled during lunch, shaking her head. Meridian's internal audit is out. Zoe suspended pending review. Michelle from HR recommending termination for breach of confidentiality. Jenny snorted. Convenient scapegoat. Amir pushed his fries aside. Typical. Blame the intern. Ignore the strategy that hired her without training. I didn't add anything. But I remembered Zoe's message. Her clumsy apology, the fear under it. She'd made mistakes, sure, but she hadn't built the culture that pushed her to perform instead of learn. That night after my daughter was asleep, I checked LinkedIn out of habit. Zoe's profile was gone. Deactivated. No trace of the girl who wanted to work from home on her first day. Michelle's headline had changed too. Former executive at Meridian Freight Systems. The announcement was dressed up in corporate politeness. stepping away to pursue new opportunities, but I knew what it meant. Mark posted a note full of resilience and forward momentum. The comments were quiet, polite thumbs-ups from people who didn't want to get involved. I didn't add mine. I just closed the app. By midweek, Harborline's pilot system was running. Small scale, nothing flashy, but solid. Vendor onboarding was smoother than I remembered in years. A partner emailed, "This feels stable. Who's behind it?" Elena forwarded it to me with a simple line. "Your team is making an impression." At the same time, Meridian's cracks widened. A vendor leaked to the same industry blog. "We've paused integration due to destabilized infrastructure following recent restructuring." It didn't name Mark. It didn't need to. The subtext was clear. Competence had been traded for optics. On Thursday, I was asked to speak on a panel at the Regional Systems Conference. I hadn't planned to. I just wanted to listen. But one of the moderators spotted me and asked if I'd fill in. The topic: responsible modernization in legacy systems. I hesitated, then agreed. When they handed me the mic, I didn't bring slides. I talked about what happens when you treat stability as stagnation, about why boring tech is strong tech, about why modernization without memory is just gambling. I didn't mention Meridian. I didn't need to. The room was full of people who'd lived the same story in different buildings. When I finished, the applause wasn't loud, but it was steady, solid. A few people lined up to shake my hand. Then I saw her. Michelle, standing near the exit. No entourage, no lanyard. Just watching. Our eyes met for a second. She turned and walked out. I didn't follow. Back at the co-working space the next day, I onboarded 2 more engineers. Both over 40, both brilliant, both discarded by companies that claimed they needed cultural agility. No TikToks, no hashtags, just quiet coffee and commits that actually worked. By Friday, our system was outperforming what I'd built at Meridian in both speed and stability. Not pretty, not flashy, but it held. Meridian's press release dropped the same afternoon. They were rebranding, calling it a new chapter. New name, new logo, new slogans. None of it addressed the outages, the clients they'd lost, or the people they'd pushed out. I stared at the bright colors on the page and thought, you can't patch over rot with paint. That evening, my daughter and I cooked dinner together. She grated cheese, I stirred the sauce. She glanced at me, smiling. "You don't look tired anymore." "I feel lighter," I said. She leaned her head against my arm. "I like this version of you." Later, when she was in bed, I sat with my notebook. Not columns anymore. Just a sentence I wrote slowly, like carving it into stone. Relevance isn't what gets seen. It's what keeps running when no one's looking. I underlined it once, then closed the book. And just when I thought the story had finally quieted, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but the preview made me pause. "Claire, it's urgent. We need to talk about..." I let it ring. I already knew who it was, and I already knew what my answer would be. The urgent text wasn't from Mark, after all. It was from Meridian's general counsel. Carefully worded, friendly on the surface, teeth underneath. "We hope to speak informally about a possible short-term engagement to support our recovery efforts." I set the phone down and watched the steam lift off my mug. A minute later, Mark called anyway. "Claire," he said, voice tight, "we're at risk of losing our biggest client. The board is concerned. I can get you whatever rate you want." I let him talk. He cycled through flattery, urgency, nostalgia. When he finally paused, I said, "You don't need me. You need to listen to the people who keep telling you the unglamorous truth." "We don't have time for that," he snapped, then caught himself. "I mean, we need a quick stabilization." "There isn't a quick version," I said. "There's the right one or the expensive lesson." Silence. Then softer. "We made mistakes. Zoe, Zoe didn't design your culture, I said. She just learned it out loud. He took a breath that sounded like defeat. If you change your mind, I won't. I ended the call. My hand didn't shake. At Harborline, our room grew louder in the best way. Keys clicking, whiteboard markers squeaking, Jenny's quiet got it when a stubborn root finally behaved. Paula mapped controls so cleanly the auditors would have to invent reasons to frown. Amir rebuilt the reconciliation sequence so it could recover from human error without panic. I handled the glue code, the parts that made all the other parts hold hands without noticing. Elena kept her promise. No speeches, no ring lights, no hero narratives. When a partner sent a note, onboarding never felt this steady. She put it in a folder named Proof, Not Hype, and got back to work. The group chat hummed with updates from the old world. HR interviews happened. 2 age bias complaints moved to formal review. A vendor paused integration, pending environment stabilization. Meridian posted a new value statement about resilience that used a lot of words and said very little. The rebrand launched with a glossy video and comments turned off. Zoe wrote to me one more time, from a personal email this time. They let me go, she admitted. I deserved some of it. I didn't know what I didn't know. I got an interview at a mid-sized shop where they do actual training. Do you think I should even try? Yes, I wrote back. Ask questions until you're annoying. If they make you feel small for asking, leave. Find the place that treats caution like a skill. A day later, she replied, They offered me a junior role. No social posts, lots of shadowing. I'm going to say yes. I wished her luck and meant it. The next week, Meridian announced a leadership transition. Mark's photo disappeared from the website. A board member slid into interim. Michelle's post about new chapters sank without ripples. The industry blog followed with a quiet piece. Sources say a series of rushed changes preceded recent outages. No fireworks. Just dots close enough together that anyone could connect them. Elena asked if I wanted to make a statement to the reporter. Set the record straight, she said. I shook my head. The record's in the uptime, I said. She smiled like she'd been waiting for that answer. On Thursday, my daughter had a recital. It's the sort of event I used to attend with one eye on the stage and one eye on my phone. I left the phone in my bag. She scanned the audience until she found me. I lifted 2 fingers, our tiny sign from when she was small, 2 taps to say I'm here. Her shoulders dropped. When she bowed at the end, she looked for me first. I clapped until my hands hurt. That night, Elena forwarded a note from Harborline's CFO. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. First clean audit in 2 years. She added a smiley face, then deleted it, then added it back. We celebrated the way boring people do. We checked the dashboards, saw everything green, and went home on time. I still got the occasional ping from Meridian addresses, some arrogance, some grace. One engineer wrote, We should have listened to you about staging. Another said, If there's ever room on your team. I saved his email. Not as a trophy. As a reminder. People want to do good work if you let them. On Friday, I stood in front of our whiteboard and wrote the only rule that mattered at the top. Modernize with memory. Under it, I added 3 lines. If you don't understand it, don't deploy it. Boring and stable beats flashy and brittle. Ask for help before the fire starts. Paula nodded at the last one. Make that a policy, she said. So we did. A week later, Harborline greenlit Phase 2. Elena slid a contract across the table and said, Title if you want it. Or not. Just keep building like this. I asked for something smaller. Names on the change logs, credit where it belongs, reasonable hours, the ability to hire people who've been told they're too much or not a fit, for rooms that mistake noise for talent. She said yes to all of it. On my way out, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Meridian had concluded internal reviews and would refocus on core competencies. I didn't click. I didn't need to. I knew what the statement wouldn't say. That competence isn't a press release. It's a routine.